Sue. Last video we did, we thought it was the hose clamps here on the middle radiator hose, or hose that feeds the I guess the water pump there to the bottom of the, feeds the bottom here. Thought it was the clamps, but fortunately I do not believe it's the clamps. From looking at it, it's the bottom of the pump. It's seeping from the bottom of the pump, so antifreeze is. So unfortunately, we'll have to take the radiator off here. All this crap, the shroud is going to have to come off, and then the water pump's going to have to come off. And it is caked inside. It is caked in here with that old gummy antifreeze mix. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and take the radiator off and see if we can get it clean and get the pump off and get it cleaned up somewhat in there. And I've got a new pump here, come from ACOP Tractor in Goldsboro. And he's a New Holland dealer, but he still has a lot of the case products he can still get. So, all right, we'll get to that in a second here, and I'll cut you back on. I'm going to cut you off now because I'm going to get this shroud off here, and then when I unbolt the radiator, I'm going to take the radiator off and sit it out and be very careful with it, because this is an original radiator. It's in excellent shape, and I do not want to have to buy another one. So, all right, we'll see you in a second. Go as bad as I thought. Now going back on will be the other problem, but I mean, I wish you could just see the gummed up crap that is in here. And oh, dry. This thing's been leaking a while, but as you can see, this is yellow primer, and I know y'all have 20 people go, oh, that's the gold demonstrator. No, nope, nope, nope. I see this on all the forums, all the Facebook pages. Every time somebody sees, well, what's this yellow paint on here? It's got to be a gold demonstrator or something. Nope. International use, I'm not 100% on when they started using it. I'm guessing sometime in the early 60s. Well, I'm guessing around the late, well, it had to have been the early 60s, because I had a 63 140 that had yellow primer on it. But they used the yellow, dull looking primer here, and then they put the red over top of it. And as you can see, they didn't even bother to paint in here. There's a lot of stuff where you can see, like behind the breather there and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to take the fan off, and then we're going to get the pumping all off. Once you can see, God. But anyway. Alright, I'll cut you off here and try to save my battery here, but this will probably be a part 1 video. But anyway, about the time I get the fan off and stuff, I'll go ahead and I'll cut it back on. So using the 7/16 bolts that are on the fan blade here. Alright, got the old pump here off. You can see, I'll try to light shining in there now, but that front end is just gummed up horrible. But I got a new nipple up here for the bypass hose there. But here's the old pump. There's no wobble in it that I can tell, but you can clearly see where it was seeping out of this bottom hole, so that I guess that seal in there must have went bad. But I'll keep this pump, because this pump can be rebuilt, and there is a rebuild kit for it. It's not as available as a new pump, and I do have a new pump for it. So there's the backing plate, and a lot of times The new pump will not come. I don't know about the $200 and some one from Case IH, but they do not come. Most of your aftermarket or rebuilt ones will not come with the backing plate. You got 2 screws there to hold that on there. Of course, it lost some more antifreeze, but there it is. So I got that off. Now I've got to clean this up because I've got a new gasket. I've got all new gaskets and everything to go with it. But I will put this one on the shelf. What I'll do is I'll clean this one up and see if I can get a kit for it, because these pumps are about, you know, right at $100. This one here is right at $100. So, but yeah, I've got some cleaning to do. Gosh. But I'm gonna get all this. I'm gonna get the majority of it scraped off, and then I'll take the power washer to it, and that'll be later on. But I've got to get it back together for the parade. All this. I did find one interesting thing here. Set this out of the way. This hose here. And you can tell this is an original hose. Let's see if I can get it to focus on my thumb there. You can, right above my thumb, you can see the IH, and there's the part number. So, original hose, original pump. This is the first time, this is the first time this tractor has had the front end off of it like this since it was built. So, took very good care of the radiator over there, because I do not want to buy a $400 radiator. $300 or $400, somewhere right in there. It's enough anyway. But all new hoses, I've got all new hoses there. I just got to get a pump now. But turns out the pump was leaking all along. So, but and I've got the new pump over primed. And here's my plow project I'm still working on, but I got it taped off and got it primed. Of course, I'm going to use the best on it here, 2150. We'll see. This here is another paint. I'm going to paint this ply here. I'm going to sell. I've got this one together, but I'm going to sell that one. But I'm going to paint it with this Sparex here. It's a little. It's not nearly as good as the Case paint. And then my thing is, your Case is about the best paint you can get other than PPG or something like that. So, and then I would say your next best, which is a very close second, would be your Tisco brand of paint. And then after that, I really couldn't tell you, but I'm going to try this Sparex here, and this is supposed to be the Case, the IH Red. Of course, you know, everybody's got their own version of IH Red, and it usually is nowhere near what the original is. And that's 2150 is what they switched to after the IH number 50 Red, which the cub there is what, when I paint it, it's going back IH number 50 Red. I've got the paint code for it. I believe it's the DuPont number, but anyway, enough rambling about that. But anyway, the pump is primed. I'm getting ready to put some red on it right quick, and then we will get back. I'll get this antifreeze cleaned up here. We'll get back on the cleaning this here off before I can get the pump put back on, because I want it dried out good and before I get it back on. But anyway, all right. I'll see you in a second. All right, it's the next day. Had a few little things I had to do here, but I pretty much got the surface prepped here, scraped off good. I've got most of the bulk of the gunk out of here. The rest will be power washed off when I take it up to the house there, and I'll take the power washer and kind of rinse all this off. It's just basically just surface like dust on here. So there's that. I said you can see how the yellow paint where it never got painted from the factory. So, but there's the new water pump. I went ahead and put some paint on it. Put a little nipple up here for the top for the bypass. And See, there's where my gaskets. I'm gonna put them on, but I'm gonna put it on here next. So, but let's see. Over there in the corner is the muffler. I got that cleaned up and painted, but for the most part here, this is ready to put the pump back on. I've degreased it and just kind of rinsed it off some brake cleaner and stuff like that and cleaned the front off. And like I say, once I take the power washer to it, that stuff will come right off, no problem. It is actually red paint underneath it still, but there's no telling how long that water pump has been leaking. But it hadn't got any really worse. Well, it has gotten worse in the last 2 weeks that I've used it, but I decided to preventative, not maintenance, I guess, but we'll go ahead and fix it before it becomes an issue and comes apart. Or so there was no wobble in it, so the bearing wasn't going out. It's just a seal. So, but anyway, that's that, and it's nice to have a reference when you're putting stuff back together. Make sure you got everything straight with another tractor. So, but all right, and like I say, I'll turn you on once we get back the pump back on. But you can see I've got all that cleaned out. I got my bolts cleaned, hose tapped, everything cleaned up. You want everything to be able to where you can put your screws, your bolts back in nice and easy. No problem with, like I say, the last time these bolts come out, they were 1979, I guess, or 80, or whatever. But when it was 79, but got all that cleaned up, and just make sure you tap and die all your holes and bolts and everything, all your threads, and make sure you clean them up. It sure makes it nicer when it's going back together. So, all right, we'll get back to you. That water pump got the sealer on it. Got the sealer on the gasket on that side already. Go ahead and see if we can get this on without making too much of a daggone mess. Got my bolts all laid out. I know I'm going to scratch it all to pieces, but got my little hose up here, little bypass hose, and I had got my clamps on there before I did all that. Done that before. You get them on there and everything, you tighten everything down, and realize you didn't get your clamps, but you can the newer clamps you can get on there after, but these here I went ahead and used them tower style clamps. And they were the soybean farmer there, he was talking about not all clamps are created equal, but I said, yeah, I mean, I like to use, I mean, they're good clamps, but at the time I was afraid that this middle, I call it the middle radiator hose here, I figured either it wasn't seating it right, or when I put that newer hose on there, and I just figured it was the time to go ahead and replace or put them different clamps on there, newer clamps. Maybe that was part of the problem. So, but yes, sir, Brandon. And these are. I noticed on all this. Well, because I knew this, but every bolt on this tractor is not IH on it. It's the West WP, the West Pullman bolts. West Pullman made most, if not all, of International Harvester's hardware as far as nuts and bolts, I believe. A lot of times you'll see the older bolts will have the little dot in them. And then later on, I don't know what period they changed. There's something Ken Updike, I'd love to see him do a video on his suitcase weights for one thing, but the hardware there at West Pullman. But they would make a little dot in the center of the bolt. then they went to where they were putting IH in it, and then some, I don't know, there was an overlap, I'm sure, but then like all the bolts on the lugs, every one of the lugs here, WP, all over it. So I imagine by that time they were just, I don't know why they did that. I'm not sure why they switched them like that. I guess just over time they were just changing. They may have been making bolts for other manufacturers. I'm not sure. And I made sure when I put the gasket, I used the water pump, like Permatex water pump sealer between the gaskets and everything. And I made sure put just a real fine film, barely enough to cover it. What that is, that'll seal up any little imperfection, hole or anything, divot or anything in the metal there, and it'll keep that gasket sticking. That's really all it's really supposed to be using it for anyways. And I don't believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe they used really any type of sealer on the gaskets. Pretty much it was stuck up there. It might have been some type of film that I'm not sure. I'm not going to say. Let's see, we're going to leave this one loose. That one. I don't like to see when people restore a tractor, they glob the daggone gasket sealer. They feel like they got to use. A lot of people use gasket sealer at all. They don't even put a gasket on it for some reason. But call for a gasket, I put a gasket on it. But anyway, you'll see where they, like a head gasket, I mean not a head gasket, but a valve cover gasket or any oil type gasket on here. They'll just, put the whole daggone tube on the thing and it'll mash all out like some nasty good. I don't know, and I don't know why people do that. I guess they don't care. Car went out, so it's in the middle of the story, but I want to say I don't like to do how-to videos because everybody has their own way of doing things, and everybody has their own opinion, and a lot of times their opinion, I might be wrong. I've got a certain way I do things. I kind of take a little longer because I like to thoroughly go through it and make sure I don't screw up, because if I get to talking I'll end up going over something and not realize it. But anyway, a lot of people do their own how-to videos, and then people jump on there and, well, my daddy did it this way, or my granddaddy did it this way, I wouldn't have done this. Hey, that's your opinion. All right, I'm going to put the fan blade back on. As you can see, like I pointed out before, you can tell where they did not get it. And like I explained before, that's not demonstrator, like everybody thinks yellow primer, when they find yellow primer, and a industrial model would not have been that color anyway. It would have been a IH Federal Yellow, which if you've seen back, the same as the Cub Cadets, and it's the same as the Lowboy. From 61 on, anything that was international was designated yellow, and if you wanted an international industrial tractor red, you had to order it red. It comes standard yellow. So that's that. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna put the fan on right quick. See, the red goes on the inside because that's the side they were shooting the paint from. The radiator was already on, so they weren't hitting paint on this side. So kind of interesting. But I noticed as tractors went on, it seems like the amount of time they spent painting or hitting spots like they should have dropped. Because a lot of times I've seen tractors underneath, they barely hit places. I try to explain to people that this was equipment. This wasn't a collector's item or an antique tractor or an antique car or something like that. This was a piece of farm equipment, and my theory is by the late 70s, these tractors were selling, but the one-row equipment and the two-row equipment was pretty much, especially the one-row equipment, tractors and stuff were pretty much obsolete. The only reason they still made this tractor was because the two states, Kentucky and North Carolina, pretty much, because tobacco was pretty heavy in them two states, Virginia too, but probably two biggest states as far as tobacco, probably pretty much Kentucky and North Carolina. That's what we were known for here. But this is pretty much the only reason. That was pretty much the only reason they were still making these tractors here, and the Cub. Of course, they quit the Cub in '79 too. But this tractor here, I guess sales got to a point that it was no longer feasible, and plus International was dumping everything at that time as far as construction equipment. Cub Cadets, your Scout trucks, your pickups, stuff like that. They were dropping it pretty quick. It was they were losing money. They were bleeding bad. Late 70s, early 80s. If anybody knows that lived through that time, I did not. But I do know that the economy was pretty bad through the end part, especially for the farming side of it. So, and everybody was hurting. Deer was hurting. You know, Alice was pretty much gone by then. Everybody was hurting. So, and problem with International, they had their hands in too many cookie jars. The truck division and the ag division was probably the two most profitable industries they had. Cub Cadet was, I don't know, a hot Cub Cadet. Well, by that time, everybody and their brother was in the lawnmower business, so I'm guessing that was hurting them. And too, they made too good of a product. Because if you know you got Cub Cadets, you know they lasted just about forever. But in the ag, or the industrial side of it, International couldn't compete with, could not compete with Caterpillar. And Deere was in it, but they weren't that big. They had certain areas they were big in, but International tried to be in everything. International had good front end loaders, wheel loaders, and rock trucks, or trucks like they use in the quarry. But they were losing money on that end, so they dropped that, sold that to Dresser and some other stuff. Cub Cadet went to MTD, and like I say, you just got to know that them times were kind of hard for everybody. And don't let anybody fool you. Deere was just about as bad a shape. See, they didn't have all their money stuck out there like International is. So. Plus the daggone unions and stuff, what killed them too. Strikes, that hurt International bad. All the strikes they had. So, but just a little bit. But anyway, kind of went off on a rabbit trail. But anyway, with the yellow. But this is the type of primer they use. And I'm going to be, when I go to get I'm going to put the shroud on here, kind of tuck it back a little bit, and then when I get the radiator on here, I'm going to try to get the elbow on that side first, on the bottom side of the radiator, and then I'm going to try to swing it over just like I took it off, and then I'll hook this side up over here, because I tell you, it's hard to get this bottom radiator hose on with that shroud because there's no room. The way the later 140s had that shroud, it covered up a little bit more on each side, plus the side of the hood went back a little bit further. As you can see, pretty much from here back, you can't see in there. And that's why I didn't realize it was so gummed up like it was. But it's going to be interesting to try to get all that back on. But probably won't be using a socket for this. socket, and I'll put this on and I'll turn you back on.